As the number of infected persons keeps surging, the need for people to take personal responsibility still remains the only option to curbing the spread of COVID-19 in the country. The vulnerable ones in Nigeria still remain everyone, irrespective of age or having any underlying ailments as it used to be. Now, the number of infected persons as yesterday stood at 1,565 as recorded by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. That is the new added figures. And today on the program, COVID Talks, we will be looking at the role of mothers and caregivers in ensuring the completion of immunization, as well as the much talked about vaccines, which most persons have started taking around the world to protect them from COVID infection. Welcome to COVID-19 Talks.
At Flow 94.9 FM, we've got conducive and well-secured environment for business, high-tech video studio, a state-of-the-art production studio. You can also listen live on www.flow949fm.com and watch our videos on YouTube at Flow FM TV. Flow 94.9 FM, not just radio, but a complete broadcasting house.
Yes, my name is Ifani Awa, and don't forget that this program is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency with the support of UNICEF. And on this week's edition of COVID-19 Talks, I have a guest who is almost becoming a member of the house already. And I'd love to introduce Dr. Ijeman Doka, who is a public health physician. Good morning to you.
Good morning, fine.
All right, now we're talking about immunization and the vaccine talk. Lately, towards the end of last year, we heard that vaccines are almost ready, and right now they're ready because they have been taken by different places across the world. But the different scares about it. But before we go into the vaccines, let's start off from the immunization aspect. So, first of all, is how important is immunization and why is it encouraged for babies?
Thank you, Ifeanyi, for the question, and good morning, my distinguished listeners out there. Talking about vaccination and immunization.
Okay.
Vaccines are biological preparations that mimic the microorganisms that cause diseases.
Okay.
Such that when it is injected, or we have oral, it could be the route of administration, could be oral or injectable, whichever one. However, whenever it gets into the body, it stimulates a response such that the body feels, the body identifies it as a foreign body. Now, the human body is structured in such a way that it's able to identify foreigners, anything foreign to its like zone or boundary. Just like normally you have your own boundary in your house, nobody tries to encroach into your boundary. Each part of the human body, it's made up of cells, tissues, organs. Like the cells in the heart will be there, the cells in whatever organ will be there, and they protect themselves. They protect. You don't move from one boundary, one city, for instance. I'm talking about the body now. Looking at the body as maybe Abia State. You have Umuahia, you have Aba, you have different. So looking at the body that way. So each part has its own boundaries and limitations. When there's a foreign agent introduced into the body, what happens is that the body stimulates, recognizes it. This is alien to us, so we have to fight. You wouldn't sit in your house and watch an enemy come to fight you. So the body mounts up what we call immunity, releases antibodies to fight that organism or that alien that has come to its boundary, and we call that antigen. So you have antigen and antibodies. So now when you vaccinate against communicable diseases. Communicable diseases are diseases that are transmitted from one person to another. From Dr. Nduka to Ifeanyi, from Dr. Nduka to Ginika. So it's transmissible from one person to another. There's vaccine against some cancers, but the common ones are vaccines produced against communicable diseases.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm just giving you a background.
All right.
Now, Vaccines are biologically prepared outside the body. Let's take, for instance, childhood immunization. When mothers listening to me are all familiar with childhood immunization, when the child is born, you give some vaccines. We don't just give those vaccines. We have taken note of those childhood diseases, and they are public health importance in the sense that they are the commonest causes of deaths in children between 1 to 5 years. It's been proven. So, and they are communicable, and they are diseases that are communicable. They are communicable diseases. They are diseases that can be that children can get. So, the vaccines help them build up their immunity.
Yeah.
So, when these children are born, remember there are two types. There are two types of immunity. Immunity is simply the defense the body has built up, and you could get this defense naturally or acquired. When I mean naturally, someone gets the infection itself. For instance, when we're talking about COVID now, COVID is a communicable disease. Someone gets infected with COVID, naturally the body identifies the virus, the coronavirus, as alien, as foreign, and mounts up, sends out information. There's an alien, there's a foreign body in us, we have to fight. And antibodies are naturally developed in the body as a result of the introduction of coronavirus, using coronavirus now. That is building up antibodies, building up immunity. The person sort of builds up his or her immunity against the virus, such that when the person recovers, that is natural immunity now. An example, when such a person recovers from that infection, if let's still use corona because that's what we're talking about now. When the person gets infected again with the virus, with that same coronavirus, the body has already registered that I've encountered this before. Then that immunity, it's easier now for that immunity to be mounted up, and the disease presentation, the symptoms of the presentation of that particular disease will not be as much as when the body encountered it the first time. That's natural immunity. Gotten when you develop that particular infection. Now, acquired immunity is the one that comes with the vaccination. When in the lab, it is prepared. And what do we prepare our vaccines from? Because remember, the vaccines are targeted. I wouldn't use a measles vaccine and use it and inject against coronavirus. No. Like I told you, the body is fashioned in such a way that it recognizes this is coronavirus, this is measles virus, and this is TB, which is a bacterial infection. Whatever microorganism causes a particular disease is unique to that particular disease, and the antibody developed by the body is also unique to that particular disease. In the same vein, the vaccines are produced with respect to a particular makeup of the microorganism. I don't know if you understand. So if we want to prepare a vaccine, coronavirus vaccine, for instance, we are not going to use the makeup. These viruses are microorganisms. Microorganisms are living. I hope you know they are not dead. They are living. So they have their own makeup. They have they have around their own cells. They have their proteins. Cells are made up of proteins, the lipids, and the carbohydrates, as well as the nucleic acids as well. So the cells of the viruses, the scientists look at the cells of these viruses. What is it about this that we can pick that causes infection, that causes this particular disease, that we can mimic, so that when introduced into the body sees it. Oh, this is alien. This must be coronavirus. So I have to mount up an immunity, get my antibodies ready. We call them body soldiers. The body soldiers are mounted up, are developed to fight that mimicked vaccine.
All right.
Now, these vaccines, listen, sorry, I just want to give you a background. These vaccines are made one. They could be life attenuated. The vaccines could be life, but weakened. Made from the organisms themselves. The vaccines are made from a part of the organism. For instance, the coronavirus vaccine is made from the what we call the messenger ribonucleic acid, a part of the coronavirus.
Messenger ribonucleic.
mRNA.
Okay.
Part of the virus.
Okay.
So we've seen that messenger RNA virus, that messenger RNA, which is a part of the this coronavirus. It's what we call it messenger is because it takes information. A messenger. I'll send it fine to go and get this for me. It's a messenger.
Yeah.
It takes information from the DNA. The DNA tells the DNA, like, the body is also coded. Scientists are they've used the human nature, the human body, everything about nature. Our computers we're looking at now have been designed looking at how the human body works. Everything about nature, whatever machine equipment is being produced, nature is a mimic of nature. In the same way, the vaccines are mimicking the microorganisms. So that the body identifies it as alien and mounts up immunity against it. So it's either is life attenuated, part of the microorganism weakens, a life part of it, but weakens that it does not cause as much symptoms as when it is full life or killed. It could be the microorganism could be killed. You get it out and then kill it, denature it. Or toxin, a toxoid. For instance, we have tetanus toxoid.
Yeah.
Toxin simply means poison. If that is what causes infection from the microorganism, it is used. The coronavirus has what we call spike proteins. You know those spikes? If you look at the shape of the virus, it has spikes. And that is the cause of the infection. So when the virus is introduced into the body, what it does, the spike